Well, good morning, everyone. This is our morning devotional here I just love this little spot that's on the side of my house. Just this way, if you've seen in another video, is my laundry line, but it's actually quiet. There's not a lot of wind back here. So we're coming back into a little bit of normalcy here in the Thwaites house. Our kids are back at school today. So right now my son is sitting at the computer doing Google Classroom with his school, and then my daughter is doing the same thing with her college. So a little bit different morning so far, but all good. I'm actually really glad that they have some structure back in their lives. So today we are in the 13th station in our series. We have today, started this morning, and then tonight, and then we'll finish. So in this station, this is the 13th, Jesus dies on a cross. Today's scripture is going to be Matthew 27, 45 to 50. Let me read it for us. From noon on, darkness came over the whole land until 3 p.m. And about 3 o'clock, Jesus cried with a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which that is, my God, why have you forsaken me? When some of the bystanders heard it, they said, this man is calling for Elijah. And at once one of them ran and got a sponge, filled it with sour wine, and put it on a stick, and gave it to him to drink. But others said, wait, let us see whether Elijah will come to save him. Then Jesus cried again with a loud voice and breathed his last. Gary Jansen continues on with his devotion this morning. He says, in Jesus' response is that he weeps. So far along the way of the cross, Jesus has acted like a superhero, a silent, tough guy, a first century Clint Eastwood in a robe, taking his shots and accepting everything that comes his way. But as we reach this station, the pain and the sorrow have become too much for Jesus to bear. He cries out to God. For hundreds of years, theologians have debated whether in saying these words, Jesus actually felt abandoned by God or that he was invoking Psalm 22, and I'll let you read that later on today, as a form of prayer and of declaration of hope. But all we really know is that a final wave of emotion in Jesus breaks through. It can be difficult to express emotions, especially if we've suffered great pain. Yet in this journey to the cross, we see that Jesus has endured great suffering, not just the pain of body and mind, but also the supernatural pain given to him by God, the burden of all of our sin, the agony of accepting all the collective lies, the killings, the betrayals, the deceits, and all the part of human life, the loneliness and the depravity are too much for even God to bear. And we hear Jesus crying out and give up his life. Don't bury the pain. Lament. Cry out. Doing so leads to new life. Imagine, if you can, and this is difficult, but imagine you are on the cross. Imagine that all the pain that millions and millions and now billions of people have inflicted on one another is now on your shoulders, pushing you down, suffocating you. What do you see as the world around you starts to darken? What are you experiencing in your last breaths? Meditate on these words, my God, what do these mean to you? Do you think Jesus is truly forsaken on the cross? It's an interesting theological context too. Is God out of control? Is God lost the sense of control in the cosmos? And I don't think he is. I think I love what Gary Jansen talks about is he's realizing the sheer magnitude of what sin has done to the world. And not just human world, like the created order. And all that is bearing heavy down. Like the metric tons of the supernatural weight is bearing down all on Jesus' shoulders, his hands, his feet as he is crucified on the cross. I know it's a pretty heavy theological construct that I'm asking you to dive into this morning, and hopefully you've had your coffee. But I think if we don't think these things through and allow them to frame our theology, then we end up being a football field long and 2 inches deep. That's not what I want, church. I want us to be able to go deep, holding hands in hands and going, like, I don't get this. I don't understand this. And I think in this moment, even the people walking right beside Jesus' cross, they still didn't get it. They were like, oh, maybe Elijah's going to save him. They never got it. Mary Magdalene got it. John got it. The very few that stood by the cross. The rest of his disciples had scattered. And Judas hangs himself. This is a really difficult part of the scripture. Because at this point, Jesus gives up his spirit. He breathes his last. He says it's finished. He says, my God, why have you forsaken me? And then he also says, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Powerful statements from the cross. There's a series, I remember one of my favorite preacher teachers from America, Fleming Rutledge, she actually wrote a book on the 7 statements from the cross. But I remember her speaking one time on these words, these last statements. Powerful. She did an entire sermon series, and then later, she spoke at our conference about it. But this is where the theology has to be informing our life. We have to lament. We have to feel the pain. I think Jesus opens up the door to us to experience our pain because he did it. He says it's okay. It's okay to say this is a terrible time. I don't like this COVID-19 lockdown. I don't like seeing thousands, tens of thousands of people, now hundreds of thousands of people die and be buried in mass graves in different countries like Italy and Spain, and now America. It's going to be hard. I think we're seeing the curve crushed here in New Zealand, but we need as a church to rise up and continue to pray. Pray for our world. Pray for our hurting world, that they would look to Jesus Christ and not go, well, maybe he's someone else. No, we need to clearly say he is Jesus, the Son of God. He takes away the sins of the world. And Lord, have mercy on us. That's my prayer for us this morning. Lord, that the God of all mercy would have mercy on us. I love you. God bless you. Have a beautiful, blessed day. And we'll see you tonight. Okay, bye for now.